Simplify 1918, and if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the dumbbell. That way whenever I put up new videos, you can come out and see them. Well, today's topic is a little bit on the government shutdown and a little bit more on food prep and food stamps. The first thing I want to say and talk about is the government shutdown. For some of those that are out there, yeah, it kind of sucks because, well, they're not going to get paid, or if they do get paid, it's not going to be that much right now. We're into the third week. But the thing of it is this: the wall does need to be built, and I thought it was hysterical that one of the leftist folks that decided to go down there and take a look at the border wall and was like, yeah, well, there's no issues down here. I don't see people climbing the fence and blah, 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 and this and that. And then the next day was at the meeting with Trump, and he spoke, and Trump's like, thank you for the view, thank you for, your report. And then I heard in the background, Trump goes, or he asked Trump, he says, yeah, there's nothing going on down the wall. There's no, there's nothing going on with the border at the wall. And he says, well, yeah, that's exactly right, because there is a wall. He's like, no, there's nothing going on down there. He's like, well, exactly, because there's a wall built, or a partial of the wall. And I started laughing. I was like, wow, this is pretty crazy. Now, the second thing I want to say is you have food stamps, debit cards, and all that other stuff. People are worried that they're not going to get their food stamps and EBT and all that stuff, It's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. And, yeah, it's quite nuts. I know a few guys who are like, well, I'm not going to get paid EBT card and this and that and blah, blah, blah if the wall's not being built. I'm like, well, sad to say, EBT and all this other stuff is there for a reason. It's not there as a permanent solution. It's a temporary solution to a temporary problem. You're supposed to use it as needed, not permanently. And what I mean by permanently is sucking off the government tit for the rest of your remainder of your life. Now, yeah, it's able-bodied workers between the ages of 18, I believe, and the ages of 49 or something like that. But anyways, so yeah, they're not going to take it away from seniors. They're not going to take it away from single moms because it's for, quote-unquote, the children, even though they should work on something on that deal. Because I don't believe that, a woman should have the right to be able to keep popping out kids, and that gives another reason for the whole women's rights movement to be able to pop out a bunch of kids and have different baby daddies and be able to suckle off the government. I don't like it, and I don't like it at all. Then you have some of these other folks who really do need it. And granted, folks like myself who lived out in California, I got out of the military and at that time, and needless to say, even when I was selling stuff out of a box, bringing home a whopping $10 a day. Yeah, I said that right. $5 to $10 a day. Half of it going back in the gas tank, and the other half of it going for some other expenditures, like food at the dollar store. And guess what I was living off of? Popcorn. I get myself a little dollar thing of milk and a box of cereal, $1 box of cereal, because that's what they were at the dollar store. That was even in California kind of cheap, but the gas, whoo boy, that was like $4 a gallon. I don't even know how I survived that. But needless to say, back in 2013 when we had another government shutdown, granted it was only for a couple of weeks, that was during the time frame that, well, let's just say I didn't get a chance to do my reserves that month. Not only that, but my normal job working at Jiffy Lube, making, a whopping $8 an hour. Oh, I don't know, I went from working about 50, 60 hour work weeks to a whopping 20, maybe 30 tops. I couldn't even get any assistance on that part because it hadn't been, a month worth of, timeout and so on and so forth. So not only did I lose the $200 or plus that I was getting from the military, and the funding dropped. Well, good thing I had a little bit of money saved because that helped me out, which wasn't enough. But I also took my pride and I went and searched and dug into garbage cans for what? Pop cans, recycles, things I could recycle. You say, "Ooh, you did that?" Well, yeah, I took my pride and I sucked it up really tight. Now, one of my other roommates at the time kind of got a little upset. He's like, "Well, you need to be home for your puppy." I'm like, "Well, yeah, but I need to be able to feed my dog too at the same time." Yeah, dang-a-ling. I got to make sure my dog has food. I got to be able to make sure I have the rent paid for, so I have electricity and I have water running and I have all these other things that are needed and necessary. I need to make sure I have enough fuel to get to and from work, despite how slow it is. Well, needless to say, next month wasn't the best, but I was able to make par, and then the following month after that, well, my stepdad passed away. So that threw me through another whole shindig of things that kind of sucked. But you know what? Throughout that time, did I get an EBT? No. Did I get food stamps? No. It's probably because I'm the average white Joe, but that's beside the point. The point that I want to make is this. Back then, at that time, I was making $8.50 an hour. I worked long hours. I worked hard. I worked my butt off. Why? Because I wanted to get somewhere someday. Then sure enough, one of my managers, assistant manager, he ended up pointing me to the place that I currently work. And guess what I did? I ended up applying for that job. Started off at $11.50 an hour. I was like, sweet, $3 pay raise. So guess what? I had to do it. My other boss, he's like, well, I understand what you got to do because you got to do what you got to do. I said, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing saying that I don't like you or the guys that I'm working with. It's just that I have to bring home more money, and it's just the way it is. And if you're telling me, as a manager, you're only bringing home $30,000 a year, I want to be above that. I don't want to be working the rest of my life, struggling at $30,000 a year and working, 7 days a week trying to, put all this stuff together. It's just not worth it. So now we come back to the next area. What did I do at that job? Well, guess what? At that job, I was working in one area, and sure enough, the company decided to let a lot of people go. Well, I ended up having to switch to a different place for about a year and a half, and then I was able to come back. Started again at $11.50 an hour, working on the production side of stuff, and I ended up moving back into the compounding area, which is where you make the batches and make the product, but I was the bucket washer and so on and so forth. Well, I started off in there. I got myself promoted a few times, and hopefully soon I'll get promoted again, and I'll be making a lot more money. But guess what? I'm still working a lot of hours. You want to know why? Because I want to get somewhere. Those who want to get somewhere have to apply themselves. And this goes back to the EBT and the debit cards and all that stuff. Some of these guys I hear you talking about how, well, if you work so many hours, you can still have those. But if you work too many hours, you don't get it. And it reminds me of back when I was getting unemployment. Yeah, I had unemployment for about a year. I think it was about a little over a year because I was going to school, going to college. And I was only able to have a part-time job. Well, I also needed the money to help sustain my livability and sustain my living. And this was back in 2010, 11, and 12 because I had to take an extra quarter. Long story short, I had to take an extra quarter because I was partnered with somebody who just, was not interested in automotive. And, when you're tied together on that one, on the projects, just not helpful at all. But anyways, as I was saying, you have to apply yourself. You say, well, I'm only making X amount of dollars, or there's no jobs out there. Well, guess what? The job market I see every day signs up at gas stations, at your McDonald's, at Burger King. I don't care where you get the job. You gotta start somewhere. Even if you're working at, a restaurant or being a busboy or whatever the case is. If you work at a car wash making, $7, $8, $9 an hour to start with, that's starting pay. Figure out what you want to do and go for it. Find a problem, find a solution, fix it, and make your money. Now, am I saying that's the end of all the be all? No. I'm still going to grow. I'm still going to go. Last year, I made $46,000 before taxes. The year before that, I made about the same. The year before that, it was probably closer to 30. And in 2013, when my stepdad passed away, working at Jiffy Lube, I made probably maybe $28,000, and that included the military. Yeah, that includes the military. So don't tell me that, oh, poor pity me, poor pity this, because I've been there, I've done that. And I go back out to California back in 2005, 2006, selling the crap out of a box, making, that short change. Guess what? I ended up also, when I got back from doing that little shindig and I moved in with a friend of mine, then we ended up having to move into his parents' place, living out of a tent in the backyard. I kid you not. Not only that did I live in the tent for 6 months, but I also, for the first week or two, walked to work. Literally 5 miles one direction, 5 miles the other. It took me 2 hours to get there. 2 hours to get there and 2 hours to get back. And not only that, but I also worked about 60 hours a week. Now, did I get paid time and a half for the overhourage? No. The reason why is because he only had 5 employees, and so therefore by state law you don't have to, much less he wasn't even able to, because we hadn't brought any money really to be able to pay for that yet. But the thing of the matter is this. I also had a tooth that needed to be fixed. It cost me $250. Did I have the money at hand? No, but guess what? I worked with the dental place and I ended up getting it paid for with my own money that I made. I also had to pay insurance. I had to pay a bunch of other stuff too. Was I able to get on EBT? No. Was I able to get on government assistance? No. I still was able to pay for my phone bill too. But you don't hear me complaining about that. You want to know why? Because I have pride. Pride in the fact that I was the one who ended up going out there and applying myself to these things. Just like you guys, I want you guys to be able to do the same thing too. And yeah, sure, people need a hand up, not a handout. I know some people who need a hand up and not a handout. Prime example, my mom, many years ago when I was a little kid, she got food stamps for about 6 months. Now, some people are going to be like, wow, exactly 6 months on the key. Well, no, I don't know if it was 6 months or 9 months or 5 months or whatever the case is. But she needed the food stamps to help get through the troubled time. And she told me when we were sitting down one time, she said, you know what? I could have gone on Section 8. I could have gotten food stamps, could have gotten WIC, could have gotten all these things handed to me. But instead, I wanted to get a second job and I wanted to do this other stuff to help get things taken care of. And the number one reason why is because she showed me and showed my brothers, and well, my sister wasn't yet born, but she wanted to show us that the importance of work. She believed in the Bible verse that talks about those that don't work shall not eat. Now, I'm not talking about those that are crippled or those who are not able bodies. I get it. Like a friend of mine, her dad, ever since his accident, he's not able to hold the job because he doesn't have very good memory for the upfront part. He's got memories that he remembers from a long time ago, but there again, his memory is not there, not that well. I mean, he remembers how to fix cars, old cars, but some of the stuff he's just not able to do to hold a job. Am I faulting him for that? No. Her mom, she's got no legs because both her legs ended up having to get amputated. She's just been able not to work for the last 10 or so years. But guess what? So my friend, she gets paid to take care of her parents. And then on top of that, she's got a part-time job doing some other stuff too. Why? Because it's the way it has to be. It's cheaper for the government to be able to pay her to be able to take care of her parents rather than putting them in a nursing home. There's no point in them being in the nursing home because guess what? It's going to cost $4, $5, $6, $7, $8,000 a month. I hate nursing homes. I will never be in a retirement home, and I will never be in a nursing home. I'm going to tell my kids, hey, you know what? If I get mentally retarded and I'm drooling all over myself, take me out the backyard and just shoot me. Get it over with. Just kidding. But seriously, I'm not going to let myself be in a nursing home or anything like that. I refuse. Now, am I still in some debt? Well, of course. Yes, I am. I ended up getting myself some credit cards. I ended up spending stuff on some stuff that I needed and some stuff that I didn't need. Some of the stuff that I wanted, but those things that I wanted were like, things that you're never going to see again. Prime example, I ended up getting a Finnish Mosin. Some of you guys know what it is, some of you guys don't know what it is. But needless to say, there aren't very many of those. There's like 60,000 of them. Of the 60,000, there's only like 40 or 30 to 40,000 of them that are of this one type, and another 30 to 40,000 of the other type. And beautiful rifle, I'll tell you that much. But there again, it all depends on what you want. Now, I'm also going to talk about some other stuff too here. Once again, with the government shutdown, this shows you that we need to be prepared at all times. So that means, get your rice, get your beans. Canned goods are always good to have. Water supplies. You've got to have these things, because if you don't have these things, how, even a typical disaster, government shutdown, whatever the case is, you've got to be prepared. You have to be. And I know this is a long rant and a long video, but for crying out loud, people, get your crap together and let's get off of government assistance. Get yourselves in the state of mind of, hey, we need to be prepared. We don't have to save everything like a hoarder, but let's be prepared. Hey, if you got a certain rifle that you use for hunting, maybe stockpile a little bit more ammunition every time you go hunting. Instead of buying one box, buy 2 boxes. If that's what you do every year. Okay, let's just buy an extra box here and there. Canned goods, whenever you see them on sale, buy an extra 2 or extra 4 or extra 6. That if they're there for 50 cents, buy yourself $4 or $10 or whatever until you get enough stockpile. I'll tell you what, as an example, this last time they had canned corn and canned beans on sale for 50 cents a can. Normally they're $1.50. So I save myself $1 per can. And how many cans did I get? I got about 16 cans. So I saved myself $16. It's just to show you that little by little you save. And little by little you save instead of going down and buying all this other crap like me. Here's another one too, coffee. I know a lot of people that drink coffee. Well, guess what? Instead of getting that Starbucks coffee that cost you $5, how about this? Go down to your grocery store, get yourself that little container of coffee that, especially like me, I like drinking that mocha coffee crap. Well, because I can't stand regular coffee, so guess what? I buy it for $4. So instead of getting a $5 coffee, now I got myself a $4 container. Now I take that and I dump, one of those in my little mason jars, because that's what I'm using for my containers. Pour one of those a day. Now, how many of those do I get out of there? Probably about 4, 5. So that means I'm spending $1 on coffee instead of $5. It's just little things like that that you got to think about and figure out how you're going to save. And every little penny counts. Every dollar counts. Trust me. And especially for you young folks, you got to do these things. And you got to start to save. You've got to start learning how to save your money. Instead of blowing it all on drugs and cigarettes and weed and whatever all else that you want to blow it on, or going out and I'm not saying you can't spend money and go and see a movie once in a while, or go out and have a nice dinner once in a while, or buy a nice steak once in a while. It's just that I hate to see people doing things that they ought not do, and it makes me a little cringe and a little upset, But this is Simplify 1918, and Shabbat Shalom, and I'll talk to you guys later.